Hello, my name is Megs Reynolds, and I'm the Executive Director of the Doomer Agriculture Foundation. We are the national voice and champion for mental health in Canadian agriculture. And today we are doing one of our Talk It Out sessions. Our focus this month is on the different types of support that are out there for mental health. Joining me today is Nicole Misura. I'm going to let her introduce herself and the organization that she works with. Nicole, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Megs. My name is Nicole Misura. I'm a VP of Partnerships here at Together All, based in kind of overcast Toronto, Ontario at the moment. Really glad to be here.
Thanks for joining. Can you tell us a little bit more about Together All and the platform, why it got started, when it got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So Together All is a safe online peer-to-peer mental health community. So really a safe space where people can come and they can connect and they can give and receive support and connection around all kinds of shared mental health experiences. It's a unique online community in that it is anonymous for individuals who are joining. And it's also a safe community, and it's monitored and moderated 24/7 by licensed clinicians. The community has been around for about 16 years now, and it's an ever-growing, kind of living, breathing, vibrant space. And, it's got an interesting kind of history. If you think back to 2007-ish, a couple of kind of interesting things were happening. One is the birth of this thing, the smartphone. The second is this little thing called Facebook was really sort of starting to take off. And our founder, who was a clinician herself, got to thinking about, there's this space called Facebook, and people want to seem to go and share about their dog and the food that they had to eat last night and all kinds of things, and that there's got to be some kind of, clinical application to it. And that's really where the concept of a safe peer-to-peer community was really born. And it's just really kind of growing from there. The initial funding was actually from the United Kingdom's National Health Service. And when the NHS is a publicly funded health service, was looking at ways around, how can they reach residents who are in, remote areas of the country, and who, for a variety of reasons, can't or just won't come in and see a social worker or a psychotherapist sort of one-on-one. And that's kind of where this concept was born. And we've been living and growing and breathing ever since.
I love that. I didn't realize that there was that link or thought process with Facebook coming online and how can we use that to be productive and supportive in the mental health space. Because
Mm-hmm.
my relationship with social media has definitely been mixed, as I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
people's has. Sometimes it's super powerful and connective and a positive place, and other times it can be a very negative, unsafe place for people. One of the things that I love about what you guys have built and Together All is that I know that in agriculture we're already, and just I'd say society in general, using social media as a way to connect and as a way sometimes to find support or connect with someone that we can talk to that maybe understands what we're going through, but they're not in our community, especially if we're in a rural area. Maybe they're in a country, maybe we never meet them, and that makes us feel a little bit safer to share and be open with them. But one of the things that I really enjoy about Together All is how you've worked to make it safe by bringing clinicians into the platform itself to help monitor that. As we're all at different places in our mental health journeys, it can sometimes be a little bit scary, possibly, for both the supporter and the person looking for support, depending on how that conversation is going.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I totally agree with your comment. And like, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? With online communities. And, kind of like it or not, people do go online, right? And connect with others around all kinds of issues and challenges. So it does have that ability to connect people and unite people around shared experiences, sort of regardless of who they are, how old they are, where they live, what they do, etc. But you're right, like it's the safety element that is always of concern. Yeah, and that's kind of is kind of how we came to be.
What would you say sets Together All aside or differentiates from other support systems that are out there, or even just some of the other peer-to-peer support programs that you might see?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I mean, I'm a big believer, and we at Together are big believers that there's no one right answer to, quote unquote, solving mental health challenges writ large or at the individual level, right? There's people are going to have kind of different needs and preferences when it comes to accessing support. I think what we have found at Together All, because it is an anonymous experience for our members, and because you don't need to behave or interact in a prescribed way. So, for example, we have lots of members that come on, and you mentioned supporting others. We have lots of members that come on, and they really get a lot out of giving back, right? And really acting as the supporter within the community. And then we have other members who are, really there to get support for themselves. And sometimes they flip-flop sort of between the two. And then we have lots of members who come on and they're on for hours and hours and they keep coming back and they never share about themselves, right? And I think what's interesting about that is, and again, because the anonymity, because you don't have to do anything, it's really attractive to people who are sort of starting to like dip their toe into exploring some of their own mental health challenges, right? It allows them a bit of a no pressure kind of way to start to explore some of those concerns. And the one thing I think that is unique and that is different, certainly from things like sort of one-to-one treatment or counseling sessions, which are wonderful. I wish everybody would engage in one-to-one counseling. I wish we had enough clinicians to provide one-to-one counseling to everyone. Is that the experience of connecting with others who are going through shared experiences makes people feel less alone, right? That you can see each other, even if you're not interacting, even if you're just reading about somebody else's journey or challenges or stories, and you see yourself in that person, that gives people a sense of hope, a sense that they're not alone, that they can get through this. And that's a very, very powerful experience for lots of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so important. And that's the first thing that we do when we get to the place where we understand that we are going through something or having a mental health challenge, is that we feel like no one will understand, so we can't talk to anyone, and we self-isolate and we stop having conversations and we pull ourselves away from social interactions. And I know with agriculture, we're really at that place that I would say the bulk of us, where we're starting to get used to hearing about mental health, and we are definitely decreasing the stigma when it comes to being supportive of others reaching out for support and talking about mental health. But we still have a long way to come on that internal stigma piece, where people are comfortable and at a place where they can acknowledge and accept something's going on with themselves and then reach out for help. And I think that Together All and the platform itself is such a great first stepping stone for so many people, because it's not going into somebody's office and it's not picking up the phone and making a call. It's something you can do in the barn or in the tractor, on your phone. Your family members don't need to know about it if you're not at a place where you're ready to open up to them, but you're able to access a community that understands you. And even if, like you mentioned, you're just there to read and see that other people have been where you are, or maybe they are where you are, and through that you're feeling less alone, and more supported to join the conversation. And I know through conversations I've had, like traveling across Canada within the last year, there are so many people in our industry that are looking for that peer-to-peer support, but they don't want it in person with someone they know. They want it someone that they're not connected to, that understands them, because maybe they're a dairy farmer too, but they're not, you know, down the road or even in the same province. So having that ability to join and to be anonymous but connect with people that get you is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I totally. And I remember actually, Megs, when we were, I don't know, when we first connected a year or so ago, and you shared your experience around, in a matter of minutes, watching, I think it was a hailstorm,
Yeah.
destroy everything, all of, your livelihood, your crops, everything. And that a response from, someone, a loved one was, I know I lost my tulips or I lost my roses or garden too. And I that has stuck with me too around there is something really special around being able to connect with people who've are living your life, right? Or are in your shoes or walking your walk or talking your talk, and who can really, empathize and can and really understand and get what it's like specifically to some of these challenges that are unique, right, to those who are living and working in agriculture.
I think too, it just makes it so much easier to take that initial step or to open that door because you know that what's on the other side of it, they're like you said, they're walking in your shoes, so to speak. They get it. They're not gonna say something to you in response that's gonna shut you down because you're like, okay, I you don't get it. I can't have this conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Where so you know we've talked about how it's similar to Facebook. So what is the best way that somebody has for accessing it? And before you respond, I am going to say that Do More Ag has partnered with Together All, and so we will be launching Ag Talk later this year, so in June, and it will be the peer-to-peer support platform for anyone connected or who identifies as being part of the Canadian agriculture industry. So for those of you out there watching this, this is coming. We're excited about it. So what will be the best way for people kind of to get connected and figure things out?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly to visit the Do More Ag website. And Ag Talk will be featured prominently throughout. And then it's really simple to get registered. There's a couple things you have to do. You have to create an anonymous username. You enter some other details, but in a couple of minutes, you are able to get connected to the online community. And there's a space where you can come and you can, kind of connect with. I mean, we've got tens and thousands of interactions on every given month. Everything from things that all people, I would say, experience. So things like relationship challenges, parenting concerns, anxiety, depression, financial struggles, etc. But we've also got a subgroup or a space within the Together All community at large that really is meant to unite individuals who are working within the agricultural space to connect to your part around, I'm a dairy farmer. I want to connect with another dairy farmer around, some of the unique struggles that we're experiencing in this season, et cetera. And that's available to do so. And I also think you pointed out a really good thing earlier around also supporting others, right? Around coming in. And even if, you currently aren't experiencing, any real mental health challenges or concerns in the present, but let's face it, we all have in some way or shape or form in our lives. Like come in and lend a hand and support others in the community who are going through a tough time.
And I think that's one thing that agriculture does so well, right? When there is somebody that is struggling or something happens, communities are really, really good at coming together. One of the things I wanted to talk about was like, when is the right time to get online? And like you just led into that perfectly. I think just when you are in a space where you feel comfortable to set up a profile, and that can be for any reason or all the reasons. That could be because you simply feel you can be a support person to those that are there because of what you've been through, because you're comfortable talking about things. Or maybe you're at that place where you just want to be able to read and feel and realize that you're not alone in what you're thinking or what you're experiencing, or go in there for the blended reason, right? Just maybe you show up to be that support person, but something happens because life does happen. Life is full of challenges, and well, we may not all be diagnosable with a mental illness at some point. We're all going to have emotional shocks and challenges and have our batteries drained because of the demands of our life at a stage. And so being in a place where it can be safe to talk, or one of the things that really helped me a lot when I was still farming was blogging, not because I wanted to necessarily have comments. I just wanted to like write it down and put
Get
it
it out
somewhere,
there.
like get it off my chest.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, no, there is no right or wrong time to join. And you did mention something too around some of the feedback that like, especially for those in ag who are living and working in more rural areas, who may need to drive an hour to go and connect with peers, or to connect with a counselor, like you can do this in 5-minute bursts, right? Like you don't need to go on and sit down for an hour and be like, okay, now I'm going to get into the peer support like that. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be, you're waiting for the kettle to boil, right? And you go on and it's a handful of minutes and share a little something, get something off your chest, or like see someone who you identify with and their struggles, and be empathetic, and give some advice.
And we are starting to head into seeding and planting across Canada. And I know personally there's a lot of time spent in the tractor cab that is spent scrolling social media. So this could be something productive.
100%, 100%.
Can you speak to the confidentiality? I know that's something that comes up
Yeah.
anytime you're like online and sharing things.
Yeah. I mean, because it is an anonymous experience, so no one will ever know that you are, John Smith and you are from Saskatoon. You'll only be kind of identified as your anonymous username within the platform. And we also, one of the tenets or the rules that we ask folks to agree to when they sign up is, maintaining their own anonymity and protecting the anonymity of others. So, you can't actually share that, I'm peanut butter pie and I live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We don't want to hear, we don't want to hear that, all within that, rule of trying to keep everybody safe and anonymous. And of course, everything stays within the community, and within the Together All platform. And that's part of the power of also having the 24/7, monitoring and moderation by clinicians. You can also chat one-on-one with a clinician at any time if you need a little extra support, or if you see somebody else in the community that needs a little extra support as well.
So to, I guess, further that, if you're there and maybe you've commented on somebody else's post, can you reach out to then one of the clinicians, the wall guides, to say, hey, I saw, I don't know, peanut butter pies post today. Can
Yeah.
you check in on them? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can report someone's post and reach out to a clinician kind of one-on-one to flag them. That being said, the community is really built on technology that flags particular posts, or we say members, user or members sort of interactions or behaviors, so that our clinical team can reach out. But absolutely, you can, as a member or user, you can flag to our clinical team.
That was one of the things that I really felt safe about the
Yeah.
platform, was that, the data behind it, and analytics, and how there's words that are going to, trigger people looking in or having conversations, and just, again, the safety involved with that. Because it does take a lot to put stuff out there, and people could be sharing that they're in a place where they are thinking of self-harm. So the importance of being able
Yeah.
to flag that, and then have someone's personal information on the back end in case you are needing to send somebody out, because there is that fear that someone's life is in jeopardy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is by and large, it is, most of our members are okay, and they're sharing, and they're in a space where they're able to participate, productively within the community. But, there always is a small percentage where our team does need to jump in and assess, what risk, if somebody's showing signs of risk. And then, we will help that individual sort of rest assured, to help step them up, as we say, to greater levels of support as appropriate. So
I think another great thing about it is, we've just come through a pandemic. Our provincial health services are maxed out. And so one of the challenges with getting mental health support in rural communities, and specifically if you are farming, oftentimes you don't have benefits. And so
Yeah,
cost can be a barrier.
for sure.
And when you are going that traditional method of going to your doctor, and then trying to get into the system that way, which is, the best way to get things
Yep,
started. They're going to ask you questions, start figuring things out, help you out. But it could take 4 to 6 or more months to actually get to the
totally.
place where you're able to speak to a mental health professional. So in the meantime, being able to come on to the Egg Talk and have conversations and start that process and be connected through the platform to clinicians, I think is a pretty powerful way to have support when you need it, and as soon as you need it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And for any of you clinicians who are tuning in, who do sort of work and see with those in rural areas and are working in the agricultural industry, absolutely, this is a great also tool for if you're working with somebody, if you're in session doing one-to-one work with a counselor. The one-to-one work is usually only, an hour a week or an hour every other week, but there's lots of hours in between there. And often, we find a lot of folks who log into Togetherall, between those sessions and are either helping others or sort of seeking support between those times. And it really helps sort of practice also some of the skills that are being, learned hopefully through one-on-one counseling.
Mhm. And I think another important piece to expand on that is it's also not just about the person that might be having mental health challenges. We need to start looking at the family dynamic, especially the person that might in that family dynamic be the support person. And that can
Yeah,
be a really hard role to be in. And oftentimes there are things that we collectively as a family unit, especially with farming, could all work from, especially if the person that we have identified as needing mental health support is not at a place where they're willing to get it. But we ourselves can then reach out and start learning and growing and bringing some of those tools back into that family setting ourselves. So I think again, Together All just has an Egg Talk has so many of these fits to help support the support people or help bring
totally.
tools and mechanisms into the farm family or that work environment when that person themselves is not quite ready to reach out for help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as for caregivers, and that term is very broad, right? So caregivers of children or older adults, or even just the caregiver of the family unit, right? Especially if one of the members is really struggling, it's so important to also put on your own kind of oxygen mask first, right? And sort of get the help and support and like have a space where you can vent, right? And you can share some of those challenges and struggles of living with somebody who's not ready to get help but so needs it, right? Because that takes a toll, like you said, on the whole family unit. So it's a great space for that.
Um, would someone be able to sign up like to support someone through it, or sign up for a friend if their friend isn't ready?
Yeah. So you can refer certainly a friend and encourage them, but you can't sign up on somebody's behalf. And that's because for privacy and confidentiality purposes, you can only sign up for yourself.
That makes total sense. And what age do you have to be to access?
So we are a 16 plus service. So certainly, like, I mean, this is a great tool. We do lots of work actually with high school students and college and university students as well. This is a fantastic tool for young adults, right, who are living and working in agriculture, particularly when there's dynamics sort of that are happening within the farm family.
Well, and especially once you graduate from the small town, and if you are going to college or university, that can be a very, very big change. And there's actually a pretty high level of dropout usually in that after that first year, just because it's so different. And that
Yeah.
support isn't there when you're coming from a class of maybe you've had 9 kids in your class all through school, and suddenly you're in a really big university program in the city without that
Yeah,
support.
absolutely.
I don't think I have any other questions. I think we've managed to touch on everything. Is there anything that we haven't covered on your end that you would like anyone tuning in to know about?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we're super excited about this partnership. And, if if you are interested, come reach out to Megs, feel free to reach out to myself around any kind of questions around the program. But as you share, when you kick this off, I think there'll be more details coming soon, all around Ag Talk.
Yes. And anyone can check out our website for more information on mental health and agriculture. There's resources there. There's blog posts, tips, tools, all sorts. And, coming in June, there will be a way to connect to Ag Talk and to get set up on the platform. So Nicole, thank you again so much for joining us. For anyone out there, our website is domore.ag, and you can find us there. Thank you so much.